You know, when we think about what makes an organization tick, we usually jump to the visible stuff, the org charts, the strategies, the policies. But what if the most powerful, most fundamental part of your organization is actually invisible? What if it's your own internal state as a leader? That's the big idea we're diving into here. The leader is, in fact, the very first culture.
So that begs the question, right? What truly shapes an organization's culture? We pour so much time and money into getting this right, but are we even looking in the right place? It's time to challenge a few of our most common assumptions.
If you ask most leaders, they'll probably point to things like these: the mission statement that's framed in the lobby, the latest strategy deck, the thick employee handbook, or maybe even the office perks like free snacks. And look, those things do matter. They create a kind of container, a set of guidelines.
But here's the thing, that's all they are. They're structures. They are not the source. The real energy, the feeling you get when you walk in the door, the psychological reality of that workplace, that comes from somewhere much, much deeper.
A huge part of the problem in so many workplaces today is something we could call a performance culture. It's like this unspoken prove-it economy, where our basic human worth, our sense of belonging, gets all tangled up with our measurable output. Your value basically becomes just another metric on a spreadsheet.
And wow, the hidden costs of running things this way are just enormous. This constant pressure, it leads straight to burnout, to quiet resentment. It breeds compliance, where people just do the bare minimum instead of taking real ownership. It creates an environment where everyone's afraid to admit mistakes, where telling the truth feels risky, and pretty soon, a deep, corrosive cynicism just takes over everything.
So, this requires a massive reframe. The real source of culture isn't in a handbook. It starts with the leader. The leader is the first culture.
And this quote right here just nails it. Your most important job as a leader isn't really project management or even strategy. It's atmospheric. You are literally building a climate, a psychological environment, long before you ever start building a team to get something done.
In other words, you export your internal state. Whatever's going on inside of you, whether you're anxious and scattered or grounded and clear, that becomes a social signal for absolutely everyone around you. You're not just leading a meeting, you are quite literally leading the nervous system of the room. Your team will always adapt to you.
And believe me, they are reading very specific signals from you all day long. Is your pace frantic or is it grounded? Is your tone open and resonant or is it sharp and dismissive? Are you actually available energetically or are you closed off? Can you handle real tension without getting reactive? And maybe the biggest one of all, when the pressure is on, do you stay aligned with your values or do you compromise? Your team is answering these questions about you constantly, whether you realize it or not.
So this causal chain basically flips the traditional business model right on its head. We usually try to fix culture from the outside in. We focus on the outcomes, we create a new policy, but this framework argues that real, lasting change works from the inside out. It all starts with the leader's own consciousness. That consciousness informs their presence, which creates the culture, and only then do you get the healthy, sustainable outcomes you're looking for.
And this brings us to this powerful idea of presence leadership. Now, this isn't some soft skill. It's a core structural capacity. It's not leading from what's called regulated authority, which is really just a way of saying you have an inner stability that's so solid, it actually creates clarity for everyone else around you. It's a skill you can build, not just a personality trait you're born with.
This really presents a clear choice. Are you an architect leader or a passenger leader? The passenger just reacts to all the pressure, waits for someone else to decide, tries to appease everyone to avoid conflict. But the architect chooses. They design, they initiate from a place of real agency. And yeah, they adjust when things change, but they do it without panicking because that inner foundation is solid.
So you might be wondering, how does this inner state actually, become the culture? Well, it shows up in 4 key areas where your culture is either being built up or torn down every single week.
Let's break it down. In a performance-driven culture, decisions are always rushed because urgency feels more important than clarity. Meetings are just status theater, where nothing real gets resolved. Feedback is either scary or just doesn't happen at all. And conflict, it's avoided or politicized. But with a presence-driven leader, everything shifts. Decisions are made with clean authority. Meetings become safe places to tell the truth. Feedback is just clear coaching. And conflict actually has a path to repair and to building deeper trust.
So what this really demands is a profound shift in our mindset. Leadership stops being about this frantic need to prove you're worthy, to prove you're smart enough. It becomes about the consistent, intentional practice of showing up from that place of regulated authority.
And that practice isn't about some grand, heroic gesture or a big, inspirational speech. Real culture change happens in the micro-actions. It's the small, consistent moments of clarity, of integrity, of simple humanity. That's the stuff that actually builds trust. That is the proof that beats any big speech, any day of the week.
So where do you even start? Here's a super simple but foundational practice you can try before your very next meeting. It's called the pre-meeting arrival. Step 1, just pause. Before you click that Zoom link or walk into the room, take 30 to 90 seconds for yourself. Step 2, regulate. Use your breath as simple physical evidence that you have a right to be there. Just calm your nervous system. And third, clarify. Set one clear, human-centered intention for how you want to show up for the people in that interaction. That's it.
Because at the end of the day, the culture you create is a direct reflection of the consciousness you practice. Every single day, your presence is teaching your team something about what it means to be a human being at work. So the real question is, what is your presence teaching?